All right, so welcome everyone to the first week of NodeJS. So I guess in the last couple of weeks, you learned about first HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then database. And then today we're going to learn about NodeJS. So let's just start with the agenda for today. That work? Yeah. So we will learn about.
Before the screen,
Yes. So this one.
You can use OBS Studio for screen record. It's way easier.
Yeah, okay, if whatever works. Yes, so Node.js is about writing the backend, and I don't know if in general you have learned about backend and front end and what is the difference between the two. Can someone just tell me at high level without a lot of details what is the difference between the backend and the front end?
So the front end is the part that the consumer, the guy that is working with it, the customer is directly working with it. That's the front end.
Yeah.
But the back end is everything that is happening within the system, all of the data and info. It gets stored there and it would be sent to the front end from the back end.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way I can.
Yes.
It's like client and server side. The clients
And
side and
server side. Yep. That's
so the front end is where client make the request and back end is where the
yeah. Anyone else? No. Okay. So it's basically like the front end and the back end. So when you go, you are usually the client. So the client can be your browser, your phone, the fridge, the coffee machine, or the printer, or anything. And then the server is a place where you store some logic, something specific. And then you as a client, you ask the server to give you something, and then the server will give it to you back, or you ask the server to save the data, and then the server will do it somewhere. And then I think we'll go a bit in details in each of these concepts later, but before we start anything, I've also posted this on Slack. Please make sure that you have Node.js ready. If not, please do it now, because most of the exercises we will do will rely on that. So can you just open your terminal and type node-p to make sure it works? And then we'll be around you to help see if it works. You're not gonna go today, so
Yeah, it's like V18.14.
it's right, but it's because you are inside the mountain. No, you fix it. Normal.
Is this working?
Yes. Open it. Right, so
Works.
yeah, yes, yes. Okay. But here, this one, you are only Node.js, so you are inside Node.js. So not You are here inside the NodeJS for the sandbox.
Yeah.
So you can type comments. But it's no, as you know, it's not inside Node.
Understand.
Yes. So, yes. Kind of sort of. Yeah. Because here you are inside it, so most of the comments will that you can run them equal. But I want to set them to a file, run them, and then you need to take the data and then run this. Yeah. All right, so moving on. I actually don't. Yes. So the server and the client. So we explained that the server is the place where you store all the logic information, and the client is where you use this kind of logical information. But throughout what you have learned in the last couple of weeks, what you have learned works, right? And it all runs on your browser. So why do I need to learn about server and store things on the server? If what you have works, why you need to do that? Can someone answer them?
If we want to create some application like that will be used like VS Code, for example,
Mhm.
which needs access not only file from our computer, but like somewhere else. To work, we need to make it work even outside of our.
But if it works on my computer, I can also copy it to the other computer, right? And it should work. Actually, just need to. Yes, yes. Just.
If we know backend, so then it's like we can go beyond local server.
Yes. But what will you get by doing that?
It's like if I was if my data is on the server, then I can use the same application and you can use the same application. But if it's on local server, then it's only me who can use it. It's like it.
Yes, so to make it more general, more public to use it. Yeah, that's also a good idea. Yes. So, do you have any other answers? No. So, I guess it's also a centralized place to manage the logic. So, let's have an example about the tax. Like you have to pay tax for your income in Denmark, right? And let's say that everyone has to pay 50% tax, okay? And then suddenly they decided to change it to be 30%. And now if you have this logic of calculating the tax in your machine, let's assume it's on a Git repository. Then you need to do get poll to get the latest, right? But what if you forget to do that? Then you will keep paying 50% even though you're supposed to pay 30%, right? And that is not a good place because now the logic is in each of your machines instead of in one place, and then when you change it, change it everywhere. But if you have it on the server, then everyone from you will call scat website and like calculate my tax. And once we change it there, it's changed for everyone. If that makes sense. So it's one place you change it, and when you change it, it applies to everyone. The other thing is also controls the resources of the machine. So like the servers are usually way more powerful than your normal machine. I have worked with servers where they had like 1 terabyte of RAM, not hard drive. And imagine, for example, if you have to go through 1 million array items in your phone or in a very old phone, how long will it? It will take forever. Or it could also cause your phone to crash or die or something, right? But doing it, the operation on the server has more machines and they can take care of it. And then you don't have to worry about it in your machine. You only get the data you are interested in. Another thing is the database interaction. So you learned the previous classes or the previous 3 weeks how to query data, right? And that works. And you can also still do it from your machine. But the thing is, if you were to delegate the database calls to your client, you are also exposing too much data to the user. So imagine if we have a database or a table where we have the employee's salary, then you are only supposed to give your salary to yourself and the salary. What if then someone tried to change the query, and then he or she will be able to get all the employees' data or salaries, and that is not supposed to happen, right? So by putting the information on the server, then you call the server as like, give me my information. Then the server will call the database and make sure that you get only the data you're supposed to get, instead of giving you everything. So you make sure that everything is more secure, or more, there is more integrity or more privacy on the data.
Talking about secure protocol, HTTPS.
We'll come to this later, but I guess you could still think about this like with HTTP or even HTTPS, because you are limiting the server to what you are, to like the data you're supposed to do. Because for example, what if you're using Facebook? What if you can post something on Facebook on behalf of one of your friends? Then it's not secure, right? Because you're giving everyone access, while in the server, you're only limiting the access to yourself, and then you're limiting that, if that makes sense. There are also two models people talk about, thin client and fat or thick client, which is, it might sound a bit weird, but we call a thin client where you have so little logic on the client and you have all the logic on the server. Fat client is when you have all the logic on, or so many of the logic on the client. So for example, the example of calculating the tax. If the tax function is on the client, then it's a fat client because the client decides. But if the logic is on the server, it's a thin client because the client only calls the server to know this information. Does that make sense?
Sorry, can you explain one more time?
Yes, thin and thick clients. So the tax example.
Yeah.
Yes, so if the logic of calculating the tax, like 50%, is on the client, you as a client, then it's a fat or thick line because you have so much logic or so much functions in your machine. But if you were to call the server and get this information and only print it, then you are thin client because you are not calculating it. You are just calling and receiving information back. And the better, I think the more you make your client thin, the better, because then you can control or change the logic without having to make your clients changing it. Does it make sense so far with these examples, why the server is important for the backend? Then I guess we touched a bit about the backend versus the front end. So the client is the front end, the server runs on the backend. So if we have an example about Facebook or Google, like when you just open Google, what happens? They just
Sending the request.
yes, request. Yes, you are asking Google like to print me the front page. Then you get a response, the HTML, which is like Google's logo, the input text, and the buttons. And that's a response. Another thing is when you, for example, on Facebook, when you're trying to do a post, you write something and then you press the button post. Then you are sending a request to the server, please save this to your database and show it to my friends. And then you got a response like, okay, I managed to save it. Sometimes if Facebook has problems or you don't have access or something, then you will get an error back. So the server is responsible on making the decision, and then you get a response back from the server. So you know now what is request and what is response are. Yes. Yeah, clear? Yes. I like to use a lot of graphs usually, so yes. So now we talk about Node.js. So what is Node.js? Because we talked about server and client, and we didn't really talk about JavaScript so far. But usually like the back end and the front end concepts are general. Like there are so many programming languages, right? There are so many technologies, so many things you can use. In the back end, we will focus this time, or like during the 3 weeks we have on Node.js, because JavaScript is used widely on the internet for the front end and for the back end. In the previous classes for JavaScript, you used to run the JavaScript code in your browser, right? You can, for example, open the console and see what is the output and so on. And that is on the client side. But then how can we use the same thing for the server side?
You can use JavaScript.
Yes, JavaScript. But the JavaScript itself, it runs on the browser. So someone decided to extract the engine that runs JavaScript on the browser and put it also on the server. And that engine, it's like the way to understand the JavaScript code and run it. So it makes it, instead of running on the browser, it's run on the server. And that's called Node.js. So it's the same JavaScript, the same everything. It's the only difference is where it runs. And of course, in the back end or the Node.js side, there is no document because it's not a web page, it's a server. So we are running on the server. The V8 engine is the engine that make JavaScript runs on the server. You don't have to know much about it for now, but just to know that V8 engine is the engine that is behind this. We have two things we will talk about, NBM and Express. So NBM is an abbreviation for Node Package Manager. And do you know what is the concept of a package or module?
Like something that is already, like something ready for our use that we don't need to create it again.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. So, for example, let's say that you are building a website and you're building a website as a blog post, okay? And then you want to allow users of this blog post to log in using Facebook or using Twitter. Then you need to integrate with Facebook or Twitter by some way to have this kind of protocol, like I want to log in and I want to retrieve the user information back and so on. So probably someone have done it before, right? So when the people do it, they just save this reusable code and put it on a package manager, which is like, now this login page for Facebook is a package. You can put it in your code and use it so you don't have to rebuild it again yourself. You're only reusing it. So then you can focus on building your blog post instead of focusing on building the login page. So you can find a lot of modules, a lot of things, because I'm pretty sure most of the people, including myself, we don't have to build everything from scratch. We just see what package is out there. If there's something serves my need, I will use it. Otherwise, I will build it myself, because otherwise you will have to reinvent the wheel or redo the things over and over. And that's not good, because if you're supposed to work on a project for 1 week, if you have to build every single thing from scratch, then it will take months or years.
Like boilerplate.
Boilerplate code, or is like just reinventing the wheel, because if you have to do it over and over, that doesn't help anyone. But once you build it once, you can save it as a package and then let other users use it, or you can even keep it for yourself and then use it in the next project. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
And then Express is a framework for Node.js. So you can use Node.js without any packages or something to build a web server, but Express makes it simpler or easier. And most of the people in the industry or in the jobs out there use Express. So we will be focusing on Express to build the web servers, because it's simpler and easier and it's what people use outside. But it's still Node.js, it's just a nicer way to write the server. So it's time for demo. And I actually want to.
What?
Yes. So. So do you remember what was the command I could use to create a folder from the terminal? Can someone remind me? I want to create a folder or directory to build this example. Yeah, yes. mkdir, yeah. Let's call it test, because I'm really good with names. So now I am in test. So what can I do to list the folders? Oh, yes, sorry. This big enough? Yeah, cool. Yes, ls. Do I have anything there? Yes, I still didn't write my file. So let's go to the test and create a function to calculate the tax, because we give an example as tax, right? But actually first, let's just have the first file called server.js, which is a file as a server. We are not creating a server now, but just I want to show you the example for modules. So let's define a function that you give it a tax, like an income as an input, and then it returns how much tax you have to pay for it. Okay. So can someone help me with defining a function to calculate the tax? How can I define a function? Function. Then, yeah, calculate tax. Then what is the name of the input? income or amount, yeah. Income, and then it returns something, right? So let's say that the first example we said we pay 50% of the income as tax. So yes, so return. Yeah, someone was saying something? Yeah. 0.5 to get the tax, right? Yes. So now, yes, too much tax, I agree. And then how can I call this function? Get the name, and then let's say 100. And then log the tax. And then I want to see again, what do I have here? Do you know how can I run a file in Node.js or in Node? Node, and then the file name. So this is Node server.js. What do you expect to see? Yes, the result, I know the result, but what is the result? 50. Okay, let's see. Yes, that's good. But as you see here, problem is that all of the logic and all the things is in one place. So what if I want to use this function calculate text in multiple places? Then I need to move it to another file or another directory and then share it between the other things, right? And I don't know actually if you've learned about this kind of thing in the other JavaScript classes. Exports, yeah. Yeah, okay. So let's go through this again. So then let's create a new file called tax.javascript. And then we want to move this function there. So then multiple people can use it. And then when I change it in one place, they will get the changes in other files. So that is calculate tax. But then how can I export this so others can use it? Sorry? Yes, let's say we want to export the function by name. Okay. So exports, but actually actually, I'm not sure if export would work. Was it export or module.export? Okay, let's try. And then how can I import it here? Oh, I actually moved. Let me move the file here. Yes. So then tax.js, and then okay. So what was the name of the function? Calculate tax. And then semicolon here. And then I guess it says we are missing from. Oops. So what does it say? Outside the module. So I think the version you're talking about works for some newer versions of JavaScript, but the standard version doesn't support this way. It's a valid way, but it's not supported in this one. So I guess what do we need to do instead is, well, I guess, so module.export. And then if you want to export this one, we call calculate tax equal to calculate tax. And then if we come here, we say, let's import this one with the name equal to require. Require means like I require the other file. And then it's the same way as you described. And then we call text.js. Let's try this again. Yes. Do you know what is wrong? What did I do wrong here? So it says here that calculate is not a function. because here when we said like module.exports calculate text, I added here a property to the file to the export called calculate text. But when I imported it here, I imported the module. But can I call the module, or do I need to call the property inside? The property. Because here I am exporting a property, right? So there are two ways to fix this, right? There are two ways. It's either I need to export this as the whole module, or I call the property on the other side. Do you understand what I'm referring to in both cases? Should we try both and see? So I think the first way, let's keep this one as is. And then let's call this one, let's say text. And then this way. Do you think it will work, or it will still break? So how many people, just raise your hand if you think it will work. Raise your hand if you think it will not work.
Big side.
Hmm? Yeah. It will or it will not work?
So is now we're assuming that file it's like an array.
Sorry?
We're assuming
That the file is an object. Yes, and has multiple properties. Exactly. But because here we said like the file object, add this function to it. And we here imported the file object. So the file object itself is not a function, but the property called calculate text is a function. Yes, we are coming to this. But let's start with here now. Do you think this will work or not? Or no? Yes, but actually that's because the name, let's just call it text module for now. Yes, it worked. So do you know why it worked? No. So let's put these files actually side to side. Or how do I do this? Yeah, Alt and yes, okay. So let's put it down and compare them here side by side. So here I'm declaring the function, right? It's called calculate text, right? Yeah. Let's start with the very basic. Calculate text is a function. It does something. We don't have to worry about what it does. And after that, we are calling module.exports, right? This is something from JavaScript or from NodeJS. That means that we want to export something from this file. And then we say, let's imagine module.exports is a JavaScript object. And the object can have multiple properties, right? And then one of the properties we decided to call is calculate text. And the implementation of this object is the function, right? Let's start with this. Is this clear? Like, yes, so that we declared some property called calculate text, right? And what is inside this property? It's inside it is this function, right? So if I were to call module.export calculate text in this file, what will I get? It will be the function. Yes, you can. Yeah. We can try this as well, but I just want to understand, you want to understand this. So now we understand that this is the property and it's exported, right? Here, we are calling require, which is a new word we're learning. Require means import what is in the other file. And then we say import whatever is in the Java text or JavaScript. And this returns the module. And the module is like this thing, module that exports. The whole, yes. Yeah.
Right now, we just export all node file.
Mhm.
If I just do one step, one function.
Obviously, it will be an object and you have to call just second function after dot.
Yes. And you can use this structure to import only one thing.
But like you just create, for example, module does export dot, function two before function.
Yeah, let's actually do it. So let's do it like module dot exports dot func2 equal to function of hello world. All right, so now we are exporting another function called func2. So if I go here and then I call text module dot function2, so what will I get? Hello world.
So we don't need to create the next one. That is module to work with all of the.
Yes, with all of them. But so you can change it in a way that when you do it this way, this means that the whole thing is just this function. And now in this way, let's comment this out. Will this still be working? It will not, but let's see why. So now, well, oh, no, let me try to. So what does it say? Text module does calculate text is not a function. This one here. And you know why? Oh.
Because there's nothing inside the text module.
Yes, so we decided that look at the modules of export and look at require.
Not working because the whole
The whole
text
of,
module, it's
yes, a function. So we should call it instead, yeah. So here, if we change this to just call text module, will this work? Yes. Let's try. It worked. Do you see why? Because module.export, the objects we're exporting as a file, we are just assigned it to a function. So now what we import is just a function. And as you notice, I don't have to call it the same name. So here it was called calculate text, but I decided to call it text module. And it still works because what we care about is that we are exporting the function. We don't really care about the name at that stage. However, if we go back to the previous example here, we care about the name here because this is a property of an object. Yeah. But whatever I am naming this module here doesn't really matter because it's an object, but we care about what is inside the object. Does make sense? Yeah.
The one that we're using function.
So in the earlier example, let's keep them next side to side as well. So earlier I decided to do this. So this is 1 and this is 2. So if I would do the first one, then the import will be just one function. But if I will do exports to calculate text, then I keep it as an object and then I add a property to this object. Which is which, or so sometimes you
just in one file do this.
exports one thing, but sometimes you will have one file with very small things you want to have next to each other. For example, if I want to build a calculator, then I want to have sum, division, subtraction, and all of these things. So then they will be in one file, and then I will export multiple things. But sometimes I can export one big thing, which I don't know if you were introduced to a class. A class is like one, yeah. Yes, so you can export also class because it will contain properties inside it, but by the end you are only exporting the class. Yeah. Cool, it's clear. Should we move on, or I can explain again if nothing is unclear? Yeah, another example. Okay. So let's close the two. And let's actually then build a calculator that will only have a sum where we'll sum two numbers, okay? And we want to define it in a module. So first thing I will need to do is create a new file for the calculator, right? So how can I define a function to sum two numbers? Just let me know what I need to do. Yeah, function sum, AB, and then, yeah. All right. And then how can I export this one? I want to use it in the main file, in the server file. Module exports. Then sum. Yeah. And then in the server here, how can I import it? Or I want to export everything in this calculator. So let's also add divide and then A by B, okay? So then how can I import this one? Where? Oh, yeah, thank you. So how can I import it here?
Calculator.
Calculator. Equal to require. So then can I just call calculator with two numbers? Can I call it this way? No. Why?
There's two functions.
Yes, exactly. Because this is an object with two functions. So which function we want to call here? Dot sum. Then if we call it here, or let's just comment the other things. So we get 3. What if I want to call the other function? Yes. Then you can call it 2 times. Yeah. Because you can reuse it in multiple places. Yeah. I guess you don't have to write what I'm doing because we'll have a lot of examples where you'll get to do it yourself. So
Hopefully we'll have a record.
yes, and you remember. Yes. Because, for example, when you will not, obviously, when you develop a real application, you will not write everything in one file. You will need to divide it in multiple files. Why is that? Because it will make it easier to maintain. Imagine if I have a big application with 1,000 lines of code. If there's something wrong, knowing which part is there is hard. But for example, if I have a lot of things and I know, for example, the problem is in the calculator module, then I can go to this small file with 50 lines and figure out what is wrong. And instead of going all the 1,000 files, 1,000 lines, sorry, because that will make it hard to maintain and to follow. And also, oh, sorry. Yes. And also, if we are working together, let's say in the final project, then maybe you are working in the calculator, and then I'm working on the tax report. And then we can work on the 2 files separately. While if it's all in one file, then we'll have a lot of conflicts and a lot of problems and so on. Like, I don't know if you have seen get conflict or because sometimes if you're working on the same line or changing something, then it's a lot of problem. But when you keep them separate, then it's easier for people to work together. Does that make sense? Cool. Yes. So now let's go to HTTP. So HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. This is the protocol that you use in your browser. It's kind of protocol or language that the browser, the client, and the server communicate with each other. And I guess you have seen it in some form. When you call google.com, for example, it's like http://google.com, right? And this is like how you tell the browser, I want to use this HTTP protocol, I want to call google.com, and then the browser will know what to do. But then let's figure out how the browser knows what to do. Yes. So first thing of HTTP is the verbs. The verb is what you command the browser. You remember in get, for example, when you type get command, it's all like in the order form, commit, add. You don't say please do, no, it's like add, commit, or something. And also in the web, it's also commands or verbs the same way. So you tell the browser, like, get me the data. I order you to do this, post the data, put, patch, or delete. So let's just go quickly through each of these, like get. So for example, if I want to get my Facebook posts, then if you call Facebook get, this means that get, Facebook knows who you are, and then it will query all the posts from the database, and then it will get it back to you. Post is like post. It's like you just add something new. Put is when you update something. Batch is the same. Delete is when you delete something. And it should be super intuitive. It's like, yes, get me something or do something. But I just want to emphasize that these verbs are conventions. So you as a developer, if you're developing the front end and the back end, you can use get to save data. You can use delete to get data. And because you are defining the protocol, you are defining what to expect. But you should stick with the conventions because this will make it easier for people to understand what you're doing. Because just imagine you're going work in the future in a company with multiple people. If you're using get to get data, everyone knows that. So it's easier for them to know where to change that. But if you're using delete to get data, then it will be confusing for everyone. So then you should always stick with what is convention and what people uses on the internet. Yes. So now let's just focus on the left and what is yes right. This side, yes, the right side, and focus on this one. So here, when you type, for example, I want to go to http example.com, what the browser sees or what the browser does. So it says here that if you click enter, it means that it's a get information. You cannot post something when you click enter. So the browser says, I am using here the get command or verb. And then which protocol we just explained. Like when you type HTTP, it means that this is an HTTP protocol. There are multiple versions of HTTP, but you don't have to worry about this for now. And then we also send some headers. Headers means some objects, like you can think about them as JavaScript objects that the server reads them. So it says, for example, oh, I want to visit this website, example.com or google.com or facebook.com. And then the user agent is what is your browser. And I don't know if you have ever worked on an online blog or analytics tools like Google Analytics or something like that. You can see, oh, you have 50% of your visitors using Google Chrome, or 30% of your visitors are coming from Egypt or from Denmark or something like that. It's because with every GET request you send to the server, your browser adds information about you. So it adds what is the browser version you're using and what is the browser, which country you're coming from, and all of this information, which then the server can get and make some analytics on it or analyze the data. So it also has include the date, the content type. Oh, sorry, let me just remove this. Yes. So the content type is like what is the type of the content I'm sending? Am I sending text, JSON, HTML? So you are telling the browser beforehand, or you're telling the server beforehand what kind of data I'm sending, so the server can expect it.
This information headers, cookies. So yes.
Yes, the cookies are also included in the send. And then once you send this, you are getting the response back. And then, for example, here it's an HTML, but it can be a JavaScript object, JSON, or it can be something else. And then actually, let's go to see an example. And there's Yes, let's snap again. So here, let's say Google Web Sniffer. Let's see if this is the one. Yes. So this is a tool that shows you what happens when you call a website. So let's say we are calling HTTP google.com, and then we press submit. So let's see the request first. So here I just entered the HTTP google.com. So I'm going to the main page of google.com, right? So actually, let's try to do something else just to make it clear. So as you see here, it's just dash, right? But it can also be blah, blah, blah. And then it says like, okay, this person is using get verb is going to dash something. Before, when it was nothing, it would just slash. And then is using HTTP protocol. And then here's some information we are sending. The user agent is the web sniffer. Usually it will be like Chrome, my browser, or something like that. The host I'm going to Google server. So it's google.com. And then extra information is quite flexible. You can just decide whatever you are sending. But here, for example, referrer. So because I'm calling Google through this website. So they are sending this information to Google. And then the response I got back from Google. So I got back that, yes. So Google sent me some information back. And this is the response or the header. So it says like content side HTML. So it means help make sure that you are able to handle HTML because I'm giving you some response or some information back as HTML. It can be JSON, it can be XML, it can be text, because each web page has different information. The content length is like how many characters I'm sending in the response. So you can also decide whether you want to, you have space to render all of them. You can also just render part of it or so on. And the date and extra information. And then you also have here the response that you are expecting and so on. And actually, I don't know if we can see it here, but let's try. Yes, you can also network search. So you can see here, I don't know if, so you can see request method is get, the verb we learned about, status code that we will learn about later, but 200 or okay means like, okay, I found this page, so I'm giving you a result. You can say also 404, which you have seen before, I guess, like not found. We'll learn about this later. But then you also, the response headers, like what you're getting back, you're getting a lot of information that, yeah. Yes, you're also getting here the path, the address that we are hitting, what we expect. And there are a lot of things, as I mentioned, but it's also here, the user agent is like, it's the engine of my browser, is like Mozilla or Chrome or something like that. And you can add as much information as you want.
Why it says that you have to income hardware?
Yes, that is a good question. But it also says here, this is for Mozilla, while for Chrome, I'm using Chrome, and it adds another version. So I think it's just a more generic form.
Maybe it says like everything you have on your computer.
No, it's only, it cannot read anything in my computer because this is the client or this is the web browser. So supposedly the browser should not be able to read this information. But yes, I hope it's clear. Yes, let's just get this. What time is it now? It's okay, 1. Yeah. If you want to break, we can get go for 5 minutes break. Yeah, okay, let's do that. Yes. So we're back 1:20. Yes. No, is there anything? Yeah. Oh, is it too cold or? Yeah. Everything else good. I look like it's slow, but actually, let me check that. Wait. Yes. So, yeah.
Я не дам, но там утром миллион его было, я не понял камеру. Я же говорил, что если так тут будет, конечно, не прям. Which one of these is the most Why?
last one, so it should be delicious. Sea salt and malt. Yeah, it's the last one, so I
Have some more though.
Throw in 1 hour with the top and one.
Okay, oh, so, yeah, no. Yeah, so one change, this one, but up.
And I did one before.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, okay, then you can take one. Actually, the next one is an exercise, so. Yeah, but are you all done? So let's get back to the. I actually want to. No. So video, okay. And then it's the time for the first exercise. Or actually, no. I should show you first how to create your first server then. Yes.
Whoa.
So now I am going to create our first server in the backend, and let's see how we can do that. Let's just close everything down here. So I've created a folder here called first server. And then let's learn how to initialize the server. So first thing, if you want to create a new repository, what would you do? mkdir. Yes, no, if you want to make get repository inside the directory. Get in it. Yes, okay. So let's do this. So then we initialize an empty repository, right? So actually also we can initialize node project using npm. So you said get init, right?
Yeah.
For Node.js, it's npm init. So it's exactly the same. You just need to type npm init to initialize the first Node.js project. Oh no. Okay, I need to log into multiple things, so I'll just need to unshare the screen. Oh, sorry, I just unshare to log in and then get back. Yes. Okay, so let's start over. So npm init. So it will try to create the. So as we said, it can be a package or it can be a web server. So in this case, we are creating our first web server. It will ask me what is the package name you want to name it. So it will by default pick the folder name or the directory name. In this case, we don't really care. So I'll just press enter. Version. Usually there's a convention. For example, when you make changes to the package, then you add a new number. So for example, if it's 1.0.0, if you are making a fix, you're naming it 1.1 and 1.2 and so on. But in this case, I don't care. Enter description. You can write something nice about your package. I will not. Then the entry point is like where the server will start. So here it's by default index.js, but I personally like to call it server.js. So it's like server.js and then enter. And then test command. If I want to have a special command to test, I don't. So then I'll just enter. Get repository. If you want to have reference for the get repository, then also that's fine. Keywords, no. You use the keywords because you can publish this package to a website called npm.org where other people can search by it. So you can add keywords just like writing anything else, but I don't want to. The author, you can write your name. License, you'll have to read about license, but also it's not the topic we will talk about. So enter. So then it shows you what it's going to create. It's going to create a file called package.json with these fields, which is just the options we chose. And it's like, yes, this looks good. Enter. And now we have it. So now we have this package.json, which is the place where like it defines metadata or description about our project. We have a name, we have a version. Main here defines what is the main file for our server. Because as we talked earlier, we can have multiple files and then we call them with each other, export and import and so on. But there's an entry point, there's a place where we start the server. And it's here defined as server.js. You can actually change it yourself here. For example, I can make it to index.js, or I can name it Ahmed.js, like nobody cares. Or yeah, so of course, it matters if you're working with people, just for the example, like it doesn't, yeah.
But it has to go at one time.
Yes, the entry point, but you can have a lot of files, they're calling each other, but this file is the one that will start the server because you need to start the server and then shut down the server. So the first command we learned to create a Node.js application is npm init, right? So now we talked earlier, if you remember in the slides, where, no, not here. We talked about Express, right? And Express is a package that we want to use because it makes it easier or simpler to build an application. If you go here and then you say npm express, so this is npm.js. This is the website where you have all the packages where nice people publish, so you can use them or you can publish things yourself. So as you see here, there is a package called Express, and it is the one we want to use to build an application. You can see here like description and all these kind of things. But what we want to do is we want to install it to start using it, right? So they even help you with this. npm I express, I stands for install. So you can just use one letter or you can use whatever. You can also see the weekly downloads are like 29 million. So you can see how famous is this. It's quite famous. So now if I want to install it, npm install express, and then enter. It'll take some time. Yes. Do you see any difference in my file? Yes, here. So yes, we have Express and we have the version of Express. So as I said earlier, when you make fixes to improve the version, but sometimes when you go, for example, from version 4 to 5 or from 3 to 4, this kind of, it's called a breaking change. So if you have some function you're calling, they might delete it or they might replace it with something else. And this can only happen when you go one version up from the left. If you go bumping the version from the middle or the right, called minor version. So it's only improvements and new functions, but you cannot break things. And it's again, it's a convention. You can do it, but people try to respect this as much as they can. So this is one file. Then when we try to install, we also see another file called package.log. And it has a lot of things that we haven't really installed, right? If you go up here, you can see node module stuff. And so where did this come from? So also Node.js, if you go back to the website, you can see that, actually, I don't know if you can see it here, but Express itself used 31 or like 48 packages from other people. And those other packages have used other packages and so on. So when you try to install Express, Express installs all of these packages that are used in Express itself, and so on. So, for example, HTTP errors, it's a package to define the errors, or actually, no, that's we haven't talked about yet. Let's say methods. It's a package to define the methods, which are the verbs we talked about earlier. And Express as a framework uses them. We haven't built them ourselves, but when we install Express here will install them. And then our program also will need to log them, just for the knowledge and for other things that we will talk about later. Then we also have node modules. This one, you should not change. It's where NPM will fetch the packages from internet and put them in your machine. You would usually have them as get ignore, because when you just get when you clone something from GitHub or elsewhere, you just delete it. And then when you type npm install or npm I for just to make it short, it will reinstall them from the internet. So you should not usually clone them or add them to your repository. Always, when you clone something, you type npm install, and it will just read what is in the package.json and put it on your machine. Is it good so far? So now we have defined here that our main file is server.js, right? But do we have a server.js? No. Should we create one? No, let's look here. Do we have one here? No. Should we create one? Yes. Because when you type npm in it, it will just create package.json because it's the concern for this package or library, but we should create the file ourselves. So if we type server.js, then we have a JavaScript file. And now we have installed Express as a package, right? And as I mentioned, Express is some code someone else wrote and we can reuse. It's similar to the calculator or to the tax thing. So how can I start using Express? Import. Yeah. So how can I import Express? Just let me know what I do and I will just do it. Yeah. But we use another statement, const Express. Then request require. Then yes, but the packages you install from the internet are special, so you can just write their name and Node.js will figure out where they are located. Yes. So in this way, for the modules you write yourself, you need to specify the location. But for the modules you install from the internet, you just write their name and Node.js will figure it out.
Even without the dot.
Yes. But if you write something yourself, you need to do /. So then we have Express. So what do we need to do with Express? We want to create a server, right? So Express.app or is actually Express itself is a function. So we want to create an application or a server. So to follow this convention is like app equal to Express. How do we call a function? Parentheses and so on. Yes. So now there's app.listen. I don't know if you have been introduced to the port concept before. So your machine has, I don't know if you know the port, like the ship when it goes to this, to close from the water, there's places where you have the ships and they're staying. So you have also ports in the browser where you can start your web application in one place close from the sea. Or what's called actually in English? I don't know. The place where you put the ship. Harbor, yes. Yes, harbor, yes. So in the harbor, so like you have spots for each of the ships. So also here you have spots for many applications. And how you identify the harbor places? It's numbers, we call port. Like it's port, I think the same concept as the ship. So you define number, you can come up with a random number, and if it's free, you can own it, and then you can run your website from that. So when you say listen, then you provide some port, 3000. I think most of the internet examples use 3000, so we'll just use 3000 for that. And then we can see an override. Yes, so then console.log web server. The web server is listening on port. And then, so actually, do you think it's good if I want to repeat 3000 here and here? Should I keep it here or should I move it somewhere else? Should I move it to a variable if I'm using it in two places? Yes, but I can combine variable and string, right? Yeah. So it's better if I want to repeat it, then I better put it in a variable. So let's define it up here, const port 3000. And then we can write the port here. And then the port. Because it's even better, because then if I decided to change the 3000, I change it in one place and then it's in the two places. And then let's actually try to run it. There is nothing to see. So the website is listening on port 3000. So let's check this out actually. So let's go to localhost 3000. Then we are seeing error get because the server, this means at least that the website is running. Because if I were to, if it doesn't work, then I will get, you see this window. But if I start it, then try to refresh. Let's zoom in. Cannot get. It means that you are trying to call get with the slash, which is the main website, but we haven't told the server what to do when someone called you with that. So at least the server is running. So this is a good start. Looking at the positive side. And then, so in the app here, we can use multiple things. As you see, like get, get, put, and so on. So what is the first part we need to do? Just, we want to handle the main page, right? So when someone calls you, get is the main verb, right? It's like when you type google.com is the main verb. So get and slash, which when you call the main page of my website, I should return something to you. And then we are getting parameters from the framework itself, request and response. I don't know if you're familiar with this way of declaring a function. It's similar to promises, but I can do it this way, or I can also do it this way. Which one would you prefer more? I can use either. First or the second? Okay. First? Okay. It's also shorter, right? So if I get a request, which is with all the information we got from the browser, like the browser version and the user information and so on, and response is a function or like an object that have multiple things that I can do with this. So I can decide response.send. So this means send the response back to the user with something. I can say response.json, which means send the JSON back to the user. Response.end, like end this request without doing anything.
Can you send him an index HTML? But
yeah, and this is exactly what we. So for example, we start with send, and then let's say hi. And if we start node, so the web server is starting. If we refresh, then we're getting hi. Yeah, my first server works. Yes. So, but then let's try to send an HTML. Let's say h1 hi h1. If I can type correctly. But as you see, every time I need to change something, I need to shut down the server, because if I try to refresh the server now, it's still the same, because I need to shut down the server and start it again. There is a nice package you can use. It's called Nodeman. So npm install Nodeman. And this package will refresh, will shut down the server and start it again when I save the file. So then I don't have to close it and open it again. So that's a nice way to do it. So Nodeman server.js. No. I think I have problem with my setup, but pwd. Yes, okay, I will figure it out later, but
You install all these packages for every
oh, I
single
actually
server.
forgot. Sorry?
You have to install all the packages for every single server, or we can just install it one time and
For each project has its own dependencies, so you need to install for each project. But actually, I forgot to do here is I added -g global. So this will make it available everywhere. So it will not be installed in my browser, in the project here, but it will be installed at the user level at my computer. But that's because I want to run it with each project. But for example, Express or something else, you need to make it scope to your project, because the dependencies will be different from project to project, and you want to make sure that you have the right version and so on. So here, actually, I think NodeMan should work. I hope at least it will. Yes, okay. So as you see, it works. So if we try to refresh here, that worked, right? And then let's try if the refresh feature of NodeMan works. H2, you see it restarted the server. So if I go and refresh, it works. So yes, that is our main server. Just take a minute to look at how the server works, or like the look of the server. So we define the application, we import Express, we listen on a port, and then we decide on where to go. So for example, if I want to handle, if I go to the website, if I go to my website and I go to say hi, now it says cannot get say hi. Do you know what? Why is that? Yes, exactly. So the server doesn't know what to do. So what can we do to fix it? Add it. Yes. So how can I do that? Sorry? So just send here. Sorry? No, it's fine to come up because we're trying to learn. We're trying to make mistakes. It's fine. Yeah. Yeah. How should I write it? It's fine actually to do mistakes or have wrong assumptions, because then we can fix it and we learn from it. So it's
I have another version.
Yeah.
Because you have app.thread and slash, and
Yeah.
if you change this slash to say hi.
Yeah.
then it will work.
But can we have multiple? Yeah. Yes. So then if you come here, or actually let's try to call it from the start. So dash slash say hi. And then the second parameter we know it's request and response. And then what can we do? Send. Or is like just hi. The server asked me to say hi, so I'm just saying hi. So, and NodeMan restarted the server. So if I go and refresh, it's hi. So, and if I go back, then I get something else. Does make sense?
The first one is like an address first parameter.
Yes, exactly. It will match the exact address.
It's like in API, this add on top one parameter.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, then. Then it's time for your first exercise. Yes. So create your first server, NBM init. Then you listen on port 3000. And then when I call the main address, like just slash, you return hello world. So let's see. And we will be around to help you if you have any questions. Yeah.
The access to install the operation system, because I cannot install this moment.
No. Maybe try to add sudo before NBM.
You restore some.
No, just to illustration. You create a folder and then create a file.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Folder and then.
Yes, exactly. And the file called server.js. But we have shown you also how to create a node project, right? You type nvm in it.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
So we start with empty in it.
Yes. And if you also don't remember, you can use Google to figure this out, because the purpose of this class is to figure out like just how to search and also how to figure this out. So it's totally fine also to search if you don't know anything or ask us for help. No, but just remember to create the file inside a new folder. So create a new folder and then create the file inside. Yeah. Oh, but no, go create one file, create a folder for example, NodeJS exercise. No, go to the folder first, then in the end. Yeah. You can, but we want to have everything with JS in one folder. Because it will make, then you can have something for get, for database, for node, then folder be easy.
And it's now. Because you still don't have something in your directory. So you have to run npm in salsa. Oh, and that would make and then when I you can just keep one part again.
Right?
That's how we put out the, so that when it's not, we can't work.
Here.
Yeah, this is the server. And your browser is on local host 3000. And then if you click, then you are calling the server. And when you call the server, then this will be full. You are asking the server to do something, then you are sending server actions. The response is what you will send. What is the server? And the client is your browser. But in the future, you can have the client as your front end with browser. But right now, as a using the client and the browser that you print in the end. So in this case, we're just using the browser as well. But in the future, you will use another JavaScript. What's the
I guess this is how it's done by the.
We decide what's the server. Yeah, exactly. Ask for it, and then, yeah. Yes, so the client for local IP, you don't know what you will wait until you go here, then the server will say, oh, you're calling this main date, and then I'm going to send you that demo. That's what they're working. Then I show it in the browser. But if you don't send this, the browser will not present. Yes. No. You're starting the server goes here and then sends you something back. Yeah, but no, it's two ways. So like you are starting, like you are going from the server, sorry, the client to the server. The server does something that it's replied back. Yeah. Then you explain. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
This part is good, but after time.
Yeah. Yes.
If it works, but they can see you have a lot of volume.
Didn't I?
Where is the application?
It's the last line. 14. Yeah.
Okay, application forward.
Yeah. And then the port is invariable. Yeah.
Oh, you're not actually from there?
I had other tab. But try to fill the other tab. Yeah. Try to start again. Just to see where you are. You are in the third and so
What should I try to do?
oh, okay. Express unique as a function, so you need to call it first. I usually will this here. That is sublime for yeah. You need to pose on create the application. Nobody did it. Save server. By the way, server running at then give you the purpose, right? Then go back to the browser.
I'm pretty sure.
Yes, exactly. What's the browser to see which one? It's fine, you can use the browser. No, just why don't we go to the yeah, cool.
So,
Yeah, I know.
If you feel the oh, this not right now, whatever. That's what we're asking.
Yeah. It opened a black screen right.
It's not a. Here.
In the future, listen.
Now. That's the point number 5. Yeah.
They're being inside the
It's. Lunch, last 24 lunch there, you do? Yes. Very good.
I'm not comparing.
Yes, we can go for lunch.
Concentrate also the sound. Say it's not, but then I see the state. Yeah, office is really important. This is the.
Quite difficult. Only make this account. What's the?
You go to the. Now we have. Or the error location, right? How do you start with that? And this is the right node, and then the machine to the server. This is server there. Then you really start. It's really and then you see the error. It takes not so long, but then what you do is yeah. Also you can respond to that in a space. So it becomes actually more interesting if you want all the server on this machine because then some data size it's not what they're So maybe just
define a function, that's what we're going to do, we start the server. Then you want to know that the server starting. Okay, we want to make it shorter.
It should be.
Oh.
Rest itself is not the function.
Okay, let's see it then.
Now
It started already. I can close the browser and then you can go to the browser. Yeah.
Oh, now.
Yes.
Hold on.
I just need to come here.
Because we have almost the same folder, but they're. Have the time, also locking the terminal.
Yeah.
Is expected.
The terminal must be
This,
yeah. But you just added it. This was after you started the server. You need to start the server.
if I have this, authentication of the folder.
Yeah, then you look at
But, where is this, message?
here in your term. Because NodeJS doesn't know what the web page is. It works with the server. It doesn't have the console. But you want to use Node.js and replace Node.js. The Node answer will be there. Yes. Exactly, every time.
Now it's wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Thanks, no.
Yeah, and then
That's great. What you try to do, you try to assign the function this one. 43,000, but is it good that you do it at the start? How would you like to exactly solve the function? This one's very much. You know, yeah. Pause and then but you declare pause here, please down, don't use the area. Thank you. Actually, I think it's like yeah. Yeah, it can look like that's a This, oh, pretty general. So that. And you want something. Whatever the client hits this job, right? Whatever the question was. Yeah, but they want to, we're just only on this. I guess I don't. Yeah, like a bit. One area that I think the things to remove the table.
Does that? It's always to become media. But then the next one just important. I'll try it. There is nothing. They later have experience well, we did take on pursue and now that's the other day. Yeah, they need that. The Egyptian also Egyptian or the
sistemde en we have some way. Or
So kind of like the everything is on projects. I think it's a good time.
yeah. Yani bu ilerleyen sormuş olabilir. Nightmare. Also, İzmir'in polis aksan sonra yerli kurban çıkan polis. Ben geldim, slag bence ama spor bir stav mit den Maßen. Vi får försöka med det. Just på det. Tack. Yeah, point is yes, but it has to make
Once again,
they don't know how they do that.
so slow.
They get started passes, but they're far. Yeah, there's a fun a box of well, prisms. Let's see. Let's see put down what is just like yeah, if you go that the good one thing see about holding the beach. Yeah, explain this first.
Yeah, but I can.
Det var den extra som so the student in I mean the high end is the view. As the view is the
The map inside and the code from the top.
So, I like doing it. Give our.
We are.
Those very hard.
After the skin, people in there. And bro, it's a breathe air. And breathe. I see my son, wake me. Kill. Doesn't from another one. Man, I'm that I didn't. They're not busy. But yeah. It's there.
Great, so, it's a very big secret.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, you're gonna learn the technique. You're gonna be entertained. Bro, that came out so right. That came out so right. Don't do that. Don't say that. That can create a lot of division. No, it's more than it's like division. Well, how do you entertain them? That came out so well. That and with this thing was his purpose. And then more.
What I want right now.
That's
I was gentle. Last on the line. I'm not gonna sit here and do
use your imagination. Yeah, you. That's I want to see it. Bro, you know what I want like this? It used to be the owner of the park. Because every second that I think about that 5 hour trip, I get yeah, so yeah, more than something beautiful. I think the dialogue was so. The Browns now. That's hard. If you're in Atlanta, you're not expert. What do you Let's do joint depth conversation. There is no conversation. Bro, I look silent, not a silent. Yeah, you know, all of the things. Yeah, I didn't know. Don't tell them. And the only way that they can find out about it is that you still drive it. If you don't drive it, they don't know.
А до него на себя ничего.
What do you have there? Yeah, but it was like. Didn't show me.
That's the problem.
There is a. David, for David. It's like a gym. No, we cannot do it. Cannot do the thing. Are you planning to use this?
For me, it's. It's not an option for you. Like Venice, because I haven't heard of Venezuela, like the economy is really or is it
No.
what about you? Like, Oh, from Russia. He's we tried the visa for so they deny her visa. They didn't let her go on. So we come on, I lived in Greece for 2 years. I lived in Greece. Oh, yes. But I didn't go. We're not focusing on. Yeah. No, but they got my feeling like
You need to be-
for mine. I'm ready.
Yeah.
You guys have to take photos and stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, so it's time.
Yes.
You have 10 minutes, Renee.
Huh?
You have 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Yes.
That's more than enough. Okay. Everybody who's not hitting. Yes. There's one person. Yes, but I'm supposed to go to, you know, how this table. Yes, Dima, can we move this table? Oh, sure. It's always starting with. Yeah. Maybe we can help because. You want to be standing on that? I sent you, yeah, because I put the Uber logo.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
If you check the chat. To a slideshow. Like my friend, well, my best friend here. So bring best friend and we together. It's done. Take the move it. You know something like that? That's it. Every time.
What did you do?
Well, I'm just moving this because so I can stand there and take the photo.
Oh, I see, okay. Because I thought that this, yeah.
Right here and then. Yeah, but if I take the photo, the table will be there.
Oh, okay,
And,
yeah.
And you also share everything that
Yeah.
log it out. Do you put it up for now?
No, you need to.
As long as it looks fine, yeah, this won't show up on the photo. What's in here? It's either you go play. And not yet.
Cables.
That's what it is. We also need to move it just like, yeah. Girl, it might be, not gonna get it, yeah. Try them again. I think that should be. Just take that should be fine.
Yeah.
Because the Windows 10 already. But actually maybe that. The cord. Okay, this is perfect. We can all fit in there. Ouch. Ouch. That hurt. That really hurt. Okay, will you guys start? Come pick up your find your size. Sorry, 24. I used to go. Oh my God, is that free? Hey, don't take the beautiful one. You want X large because you know I'm bigger. Oh my God, I like it. Guys, there was only one blue, and I picked it. Only one blue.
Yeah.
Do it nice. Put them on tape also, but try them out and also get for the photo. It doesn't matter which side. These are really big. Yeah. You have to keep it at least for our graduation. Maybe it's worth more. I think only mentors can wear press blue, right? It's Okay, yeah, looking good. Looking good. Who are we missing? Oh my God. Yeah. What? Yes, I'm done. You don't Okay. So you read it as well. Okay. How many minutes? 4 minutes, okay. Put on the secret, we're gonna take a photo. I'm actually going to false secret, so I don't think they will complete the new from the signature. When are you gonna come? For after the summer.
Yes, you can take out.
For the people stand this side, like people that, and blue people behind. And one who is gray. Hey guys, I'm in the middle, because I am not him and I'm not him. I'm either. So I said, stay here, come on.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some people to like kneel down or sit, crouch, yes. And get comfortable because we're.
I think we are like.
Oh, we're missing one.
Yes, Nima.
Mima.
Juliet.
Okay, well, Mima and Juliet.
There's another one of them.
Yeah.
There was a skinny guy just starting me to see. Oh yeah, there it is. Hey, teachers. Right. Right.
Okay.
Guys, why
We have to
shy?
Front in. Get close. Get close. I mean, you can put your- yeah, like, really sit down. Get one of them. Sit down.
Right? I mean, I've heard this from you.
Okay, maybe one more down. Let's see.
Say cheese.
Okay, can we all move like 1 meter that way? Scoot over. Yes. Not too far. It's okay.
Come back. Look how many minutes you have left.
Right, exactly.
I'm serious.
Okay, looks good. 1 second, okay, this is testing here. Testing.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Testing.
Can you take from my beautiful side?
I can try. Which one is that?
Both.
I think from the back. Okay.
So-
You have something to say? What did we say outside of this one?
Outside of what?
JavaScript?
NodeJS.
One second, 1 second.
I can't feel my arms anymore.
Okay, that's mode, yeah. Wait. Yeah.
Our the new guy down there.
Let's start for. Yeah. Margaret, you know. What about you, Mr. Conrad? Yes, I'm proud. That's good. Whatever it is. Yes, exactly, yes. Wow. And down, yes. If you want all of it. Ready? Okay, say Uber. Can you see?
Okay. Hey, Rene, you know, we were down here.
Otherwise, I'll Photoshop you.
Operation.
Okay.
We're in the. You use it to be careful for session.
That's why. Yeah. Yeah. Keep try them at home, just make sure you're comfortable. If you need them tonight, let me know, okay? And I'll bring them. Yeah. No, hello. Thank you. I think it's.
What?
It's very. It's.
Freelance.
You had something else to know, right? No?
Yeah, I think we do the at the end.
Okay.
There you go. Remember to.
Yep. I actually don't know. Okay. So how far are you with the first exercise? How can I do it? This one? Yeah. Yeah. You're my hero. Okay.
But the password for the phone, it will be a lesson.
So how far are we with the first exercise? Are we all done with it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Cool. Then it's time to do the second exercise.
Exerciser.
As much as you can count.
It's create.
So again, you do the exercise in another folder. So you create a new folder for this exercise. Each exercise you consider it as a different server for a different application. So you create a folder and then you do all these things with it.
So first part is the same.
Yes, but this part, yeah, is the yeah. But you also change like NVMNX and NVM Express and how to export the module. Also, because we want you to mix the server and the modules which we learned about earlier in this class.
So now we should start from create new file names and we call it.
Yeah. But we do it again. This is another application. This is another server. So you create a new folder and then create everything from scratch. But you have already done it once, so you know how to do it.
Yeah.
I have another, if you have the same kind of response, so you. Yes.
Create a new folder for everything. Yeah. So create a folder for each exercise. Yeah, yeah, right.
Charity?
Here.
Yeah.
This is not.
Spanish conference, then
You need to take that to the random number. Big, could be a big. That's what you need to figure out.
If somebody needs to die, I can go with the line. That's the one that's usually higher.
are we talking about that?
Somewhere in the universe.
One ruins or innocent. This don't have. Right.
Then you just put out the G, right? And then it's really not the territory and so yes, just one And here you want to errors being placed.
Yeah.
Because if you want to be, you know, there's the ability to do that. And then. Of course, I think it's the way. You can open it. Yes. It's the dash, everything. I saw that. Have you tried?
What is meant by that? Rise pages, and then you open to go on your browser on localhost/fields, then you either they rise pages.
So here. I can try.
No, it's just. Yeah.
What are you doing? You just go to the last.
We don't know.
Oh, okay, this is where the I don't really understand to create a new language, trying to exclude it from the service of the-
Good question.
How's this? Then we.
I don't think that works.
It's just like, what's the? Bro, no, it's thing that there is button up. When it says there is a button.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Where?
I thought I was there.
Even though they don't have full application. Which is what you-
And now we want to get now it's for deals that are used for student.
Express.
Yeah.
What is this?
No, I have,
First contact.
you know, like, exactly.
But this happens.
We could require and point to the file. So without the require.
I'm not finding what it was.
Yes.
Require then round brackets.
No, both are the same.
The words.
No, they're not. If you remember to do in the inbox,
Remember what's the problem?
Started. Because how can you use it?
No, I did not.
No.
No, that.
Round brackets. Round brackets connect to the bias. This is wrong.
It's good. You import. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
No, you need to. Or it's, because most of the thing. So, you know, where's science?
You give me error.
Yeah, it's everything's supposed to be close. So simple. So.
My machine never complains. I'm gonna find it.
Yes. But yeah, the error is about what it has to say. Yes, it's like you remove the concept of yeah, but that's the one that you're in there. But next module is only you know why? Let's try to get out of the game. Probably what means to I think just go there.
Yeah. So I. So we go many keys and Java. Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's a smart idea. I like it.
And then
Yes, because you need to, and also there's next month with the building. You can name it everything, of course, but it's technically reflect. No, you can define whatever you want.
okay.
But I'm just saying, it's text module. Here, it's called your embedded something related to that, but we're from the text. So the text is good. Yeah, just for the space.
Those stay between the dashes?
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly.
No.
You can actually just call it means, you don't have to say module. It's up to you, yeah. No, no. And they transfer. Then you need to update
Now, hey, if you find the model in the terminal as well. The first day that I saw you, I could hear you saying, no. 1 second. After npm install express that say, should we write the Moodle export that thing in the terminal? No, no. So should we expose, but the bond
specific grade.
server?
Yes. If this didn't work, suppose how would you do it? You can do this new sort. Yeah, but if I were to do it, a better way is to keep all the data.
Yeah.
So we can also just the best in the array. You can just put it here and choose because you don't have to buy anything unless you want the user to tell you what to do. But it's up to you to decide. Yeah, exactly. It's built-in object. No, but then you need to do module exports, then the new, then export and then you can.
Oh, sorry, random number.
No, the export is always down. Compared to there, but the thing is, if you want to use here, you need to but if you would like to replace this as meals, call it directly, then you don't need to export this one, but you only need to export this one.
Because means that's the one. Oh, okay.
Yes, there is. Because here it's the user first, right? So the user here is the one.
Yes, please.
So you the right thing is like meal. So what is the rate? But the thing is, this is, you know, because you are exporting here, but the first thing that will stay, I'm trying to access something that doesn't exist because I'm not importing it. But I export it. But if you do it this way, this way, then you go, with them, yeah. It's not that export it because it's only used inside. So it depends your time to and yeah. Oh. Yeah. Or you can define another model. But because this is just an in, it can be anything. Or you decide later. I would create. Yeah. No, but it's the whole server. Yes, add the lesson, add the lesson and add the zero. And after that, you start here and no server JS. And then you know what that was.
And give me an error before you defend the firewall.
Everything.
Give me an error. That's why.
By leaving some labels in there, just everything that needs, and then you line the other stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, server listen, 14300. So the server is listing use.
Okay. So cheap the other whole.
Yeah. This is for.
Yeah. If you
So server.
go there, scroll down.
They go some local hosts.
But then you can use another 3,000. Just have it's also like. As many.
Yeah, the server, listening. No, it's still there, it's the firewall. But you guys allow it.
Then we get back. We get back. Yeah. Actually, another trick. First, because of this year, the array,
want to. So there's no other, it's all that's will be a step.
Program there.
If you go to NodeJS, there's here, NodeJS.
Yeah, the picture that he was like.
And right, what the beans coming along.
And this one's. But
Yeah, I think it's right.
was it answer there? Ask.
You know what does it?
People need the solution.
Let's see the handler.
You can read it. Explain it. Try to rewrite it.
No, you don't ask right.
That's a bit of
Dots at the start of the get. What you could try is. There are stuff that then. Yes, yeah, right. For use.
And I says,
Yeah. One more. Yes. It was not meant.
you're not finished.
Okay. Let's try one more. This is how random it is. Okay, so yeah, it's very random. It's clear. I can. Okay. So. Working, it's running very really like it's in this very it's working on
By.
Yeah, you have to call the function all the time, but that's. By the way. So.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, so I like women. I use.
It is red.
And he was really good at explaining things in a slow and organized
So.
He's really good. I think I put.
Just take a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Yep. So now I'm Yeah, and then forward.
Ja, ja, ja. Je hebt nu 25 cijfers. Als we die komen, dan gaat maar met tempo. Vijf. Ja, dan lukt het niet. Als het dan heb je maar een vijf. Als je checken gaat, dan ga je niet meer. Ja, wil dan de rate. Oh, als je dat op dit moment hebt. Je hebt steeds een scheidsman van voor hem ga je ja, voor hem ga je hij voor een beetje samen. Ja, I mean, now I mean, yes.
What do you want to do? Explain to me and then we can work. Just what you want to do, explain to me and then we can try to. I know what is wrong, but just explain to me what you want to do and then we can try to think about it together. Yeah, okay. So first thing you go to association. So here you are choosing a random number, right? But then my mean is one mean is not an array. Yes, but we better it's better to have it as function. I don't know if you so and my new we choose math or random number, but this one will be problem one and it's only one small size versus it will be same this and it will say but I want to have it at the same time. But yes, but if you wanted to change it for the constant, to make it a function, you would be because how should that sort wouldn't mind it, right? That's why you. But can you import it here? No, then array doesn't need. No, you can export it. That's one. But you didn't ask for it. But let's say you my new. New one, right? My move. It doesn't matter if it's better just to add them together. And then what do we want to do? We want to use the phone instead. Return. So now we have but we want to do also is reform slash we better create a new one. But we want to do this one, but we want to create a new one. Yeah. Has to be the last one. For this one. And then yeah, because listen is when you start the server, you want to register all of these into the server. And then Yes, you have to return the name. So this is a good module. So you remember here we export two things, right? Which one we want to use? And the responsibility. Okay. What is yeah. So there, when we go to the server, you start my yes, yes, but this actually has one. Yes, actually, yes. Yes. Yes. Exactly. But there's actually a problem with this one. But can you just this starts the server? Can you start the server? Let's go. You have extras. So there's actually another second. So you type S, then S, then press tab. Then just continue. Yeah. And then it says your meals need to so this one you're trying to build. Okay, this you can actually build this one. So let's print here industrial server. This we will not return to the place. You will only see it here just to know this organization. Server is working. We have two different objects and we have one spaghetti and array. Yeah. So if you try to try this is the first one, right? It's just the dash. But what should we do? We know the difference between this and this. No, but this right here. It's here. We want to call my website /meals. Yes. So if you add a slash by the end, meal. What? Because this is the first one. This is the hell we are getting. But we are one of the system. Then we call meals and then we return. Spaghetti. Yes. Try to right. So we are taking the random. That's right. That's why it's not changing. You know. So here because this one can only is executed one server. But we want to change every time. Yes, not every time, but no. Instead of having it only once, we can make a function. So then we can this number changes every time. So if you define this function, it's random. And then you return this and then yes. You can actually get a new one to see what is that. I'm reading it. Yeah. Just return basically. And then work, just let me know, and then we can talk about it. Okay. Because it's the index. You know, they always addicted. Yes. This is the new. Oh yeah, this is the classic answer.
So we see that then, I don't know, for example, they now also learning you send these, then you just send me everything, and then I make inputs. Then my laptop has the same solution. For example, you have a project, I don't know, whatever, like 20 packages, and I pull it, then I can get installed, and then start, and then start, and then it starts. And then everything is done. That's why we have to start.
It's actually one, but the point is so and then
That's good. So the system finally want to read the data. Very good. This one, okay. Well, all right. I think we have 5 minutes left or something, so let's just I'll try to show you the last part from our lesson, and then you can continue on that after that. So let's talk about the last part. Yes, about the HTTP status code. So we learned about the verbs earlier. So get, post, put, delete. So can someone tell me what the difference between post and get?
You're sending information and receiving information.
Yeah. So post is to save something and get is to retrieve something. Yeah. So, and the HTTP verbs, There's also, like, it's not verbs, the 6 codes, like you have 2, something, something, 3, something, something, 4, something, something, 5, something, something. So 200 means it's okay. So when I try to search for something and I get 200, this means that the server found results. If I try to post something or save something in the database and the server returns 201, which means that the object or the user or the customer was created. So this means that's all good. 300 means there's something you didn't call the right method or the right thing from HTTP. So it indicates to you back that there's something wrong. 400, it means that you have called something you're not supposed to call. So 404, I think most of you have seen it before. Page not found. 404. Yes, exactly. So this is an HTTP status code. There's also 401, if I remember correctly, which is unauthorized or something like that. 500, it's very famous code as well, is internal server error. So if you are upgrading your server or you have deployed something back to your server, then when someone tries to call you, will get back 500, which means there's something wrong. And there is a website, actually, I think I do have the link here. Yes. Let's try. Yes, I don't know if you can see. It's not the nicest language, to be honest, but I can't see from this one. Yes. So like 1xx, like wait for your shit. 200, here's your shit, like say content is delivered. 300, your shit is over there. It's like you have called the wrong thing. 400, you fucked up. 500, we fucked up, or I fucked up. So it's this very funny way to get the explanation of this. So I will share also this page with you. So it's like just an easy way, because there are like so many numbers of them. You will learn them, I guess, in needs to know basis. You don't have to memorize all of them. You just need to understand them. And as I said before, this is very similar to the verbs. You can also use 200 with everything, even if it's not found. Nobody will complain, but it's good to stick with the convention or what people uses. And we will use them more in the next class, because then we get more advanced with JavaScript. There is also some unofficial, ones, like I'm a T-bot enhanced. Actually, this room is called I'm a T-bot, the small one here, with the HTTP 418. But there are like, a lot of things. So like, is 400, you fucked up or I fucked up? If you remember 400. Yeah. 500 if it's the server. So like, yes, I fucked up, yes. Yes. We will go more into it next time. So then we also have section about tests. I think I just want to give some hints about tests, but we also will learn about them in the next couple of weeks. So why do I don't know if you got to write tests in the previous classes. No?
We broke JavaScript.
Yes, okay, yes. But do you know why do we have to learn them or like write them?
Because you understand how you put intention and how we could understand it.
Yeah, it's like this to document the behavior. Because actually, I
You're
could,
talking about different tests.
Yeah.
what?
I think he's talking about the exams.
Oh, the job is no. No, okay. Oh, it's for me. It's 500 for me. So yes, the test is to document behavior. Like I can imagine, like not everyone likes this, but it's like you have to do it as part of your job. But it's a good way to maintain the behavior, because if you're testing, for example, when you call meals, you will get a random meal every time. You can have a test that sees like, okay, I get a response, and let me try what the response is. So if I change my code in the future not to return anything at all, my test will fail. And then I will get an idea about this, and then I can try to fix it. But then also it could mean in the future, I wrote something and I left the company. And then you try to come, or like someone else try to come and try to fix it and try to be smart and delete a lot of code. It's like, oh, nobody's using this code, let me delete it. But then if you have a test to document this, your tests will cover, oh no, it's actually used and it's used for this case. So don't do anything with that. So it's a good way to document that. And if you can also, you're doing, you're focusing on tests. So I guess you can also say, a lot about that as well. I don't know if you have anything to add. Yeah, yeah. Sorry for putting you on the spot as well. Yeah, exactly. If you don't test the behavior, then what else will you test?
Basically, you always gotta check whether your code is doing what it's supposed to do. Usually you have been starting to do this by just running the code, looking at the result, but it's kind of tedious. Because then you always have to go check it. Whenever you add a new feature, you kind of have to click through the entire application and see if it works. And that's why we write automated tests when the computer is checking the behavior is still correct. And now Google tests that if that's not correct, that's
Yes.
What if sometimes the code looks really wrong, but it works how it should? Yeah,
Yeah.
it has happened to me more than you can believe it, actually.
Yes.
Like, it gives me a lot of fatal files, and then at the end, it's like, I open it, works. Like,
Yes.
perfectly, no problem.
I think that's another story because, for example, if you were to refactor it or to make it better, actually, this is the real story. I have had it in almost all of my jobs through my career. Sometimes you go and try to refactor something, and it's very bad. You want to fix it or rewrite it in a nicer way. But the thing is, you don't know what is expected from this code unless you have tests. So if you rewrite it and the test still works, then you are good. If you rewrite it and the tests don't work, then you have broke something. So it's also the tests are a good way to verify that what you're changing doesn't break functionality to the user.
Is there a way that we can find the fatal part, the part that is wrong without going through all the code?
What is the fatal part in this case?
Yeah, for example, we write a code, let's say 500 lines. And then at the end, when we try to check it, we can say that it says there is an error. So should we go all the way and look at it, or
There's an error when you run the program or when you try to say
when you run the program?
yes, it's only way to capture it is by tests. And sometimes there's also something called linters. So that will trigger, for example, if you reassign the variable different type or you did something very common, that the linter can track this before you run the code. But the tests are made mostly too big for capture these things. Because the more you usually expect it to add more tests when you write the program to verify what your works and to document what is the purpose of this change you're making. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. I think we are over time. So there is one part in the homework that we actually haven't gone through. Let's see. Yes, the homework is quite similar. You will make a lot of endpoints similar to this. But then by the end, there is this next, which is a package to deal with database with Node.js. We will learn about it later, but it's only a matter of calling it in your homework. So it's a very small part. So I guess it's not something completely new. We have learned about package management and how to install a package. This is just another package, and you need to do this small part. So I don't think it's a big thing. Yeah, of course, yes, and ask for help in Slack if you're missing something. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
There is a warm-up task. So how do we make it work in the console mode? Like it says the rate and average rate in the code, it makes an average number. When I type the console like 560, it gives me the average. But how, like, usually we write it in the JavaScript.
Yes. So you will need to write in Google how to receive user input using Node.js, because there is also a module or there is something to do this. Yes, but you just also need to know. There's also learning what to search for is a skill that you need to learn how to do it. So like just knowing, oh, I need to do this, and then I will get the results. So yes, receiving user input.
No, I just wanted to say, are there any online class or group classes, group studies for database before we move forward and leave it behind completely? You can sign up. Monday.
Yeah.
There's Monday one?
Yeah, I'm usually posting the study.
Okay, so I just sign up on Slack for the database, right?
Yeah, you just write in what you want to speak.